Behold, a cold open. Joe, you'll never believe this. I was at Aldi the other day. You want to know why? Because you got to eat food every day.
The bar goes down.
It never takes. Like, I always feel like I make a really good dinner and I'm just like, this is the one that's going to fucking work. This is the
one that sticks.
Yeah. Never. I was at Aldi. Normally at Aldi, there's not a lot of interesting events that occur. I don't go to the Aldi that had the coyote in the fridge. Did you see that, by the way?
No, I missed that. There was I think in the 90s, there was a Quiznos coyote in Chicago. They're probably related.
He was next to the Sobeys. I think he wanted a Sobey, and he knew it was the only way you could get one. Because in the coyote world, in the wild, they don't give you Sobey.
Yeah, there's vending machines everywhere, and he has no coins.
Yeah. I drank a Sobey a lot of the time in college, and then in like senior year, I looked at the label and saw that it was like 200% daily sugar, and I was like, oh, fuck. that ain't good. Anyway, I was at Aldi, and Joe, the eggs were... You're not going to believe this. It's not relevant to me because I don't really like eggs or buy them very often. But the eggs were, for a dozen, $5.98. And I saw something else. That wasn't what shocked me. What shocked me was what I saw next. A woman with her partner, boyfriend, husband, I couldn't tell. Fella. With her fella, was shopping, also at Aldi. They needed eggs. They went up to the thing where the eggs are. They saw the little sign on the door with the price. She turned to him and said, with no guile or irony in her voice whatsoever, "Why are these eggs so fucking expensive?"
So, Tom, her job was to do environmental storytelling for you.
Yes, she's the person writing, cut off their limbs in her own blood on the wall.
Writing in her journal, "The event will never occur," and then chucking the journal behind a door. I would... like,
imagine the clear, untrammeled brain, nothing in there, no dark dirt ruining her thoughts.
It's just literally the only thing people talked about, either earnestly or to be stupid about it, but it was eggs talk always.
Why are these eggs so fucking expensive? Lady, how long do you have? Like, do you truly not know about any of the events? It's like, how do you even start? It's like, okay, let's sit down. You know that there's a job called the president, right? Like, you think,
yeah, he's the egg setter.
Yeah. And like, you know, the thing that's going to make you be in your house for a year in a couple months? Well, that's going on. Also, why are these eggs? Joe, it wasn't even like indignation thing. Just like, look at this. It's like, how come the eggheads in charge can't get it together? It was straight up just like, I'm receiving brand new information and it seems absurd. Like, I'm simply confused by this. I could not believe it.
I was talking with my therapist about how this feels very much February before COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Again, just like, it just... like, no one's noticing it, and then something will happen, like the NBA being canceled or something, and everyone's going to notice it. Mm-hmm. I'm saying this because when she finds out, the egg lady, mm-hmm. we will have all reached awareness. Like, it will be common knowledge where we're at when she is like, oh, God.
Hello, everybody. Why are eggs so fucking expensive? How come?
We just noticed this.
It doesn't make any sense. They just come out of chickens. It's not hard. There's a lot of chickens around it. You just got to feed them like dust and sand, I think. They like peck at it, and then they make an egg. Honestly, I don't know why the eggheads in charge haven't figured this out if they're so smart. This is Anime Sickos Podcast, just the podcast for geniuses and the only podcast where we look at the 4 pillars of modern misery: anime, gaming, posting, and jobs. I am Tom, an anime sicko.
I am Joe, an anime sicko.
We have 3 Patreon givers to thank for giving us 5 of them dollar bills. Thank you. Our first Patreon giver is someone who has a funny joke name where it's a sentence instead of a name. And it's Goth Girls Will Save Us All.
I don't disagree. Like, it's...
I sure hope it's true. Yeah. There's a lot of saving that I need. But thank you. I mean, I'll say it, like, giving us $5 is in many ways saving us, in the sense that we can't live off the Patreon money. But the Patreon money renders our unemployment depressing,
doable,
instead of terrifying. Our next Patreon giver is Mark Barks. Mark Barks. This is like a puppy girl.
I was gonna say a dog attorney.
It's one of those. Mark, thanks for barking and giving us money. Oh,
thank you, Mark.
Joe, our next Patreon giver has given himself a nickname, the like nickname in quotes between the real first and last name, which I know that sort of received wisdom is like you can't give yourself a nickname, but doing shit like this is so bold that I kind of like I'm like, yeah, no, you earned it through the brazenness, because it's Connor Big Man Webb.
I was like hoping for Connor the Laser or something, but Big Man's good.
He's the big man. Connor, you truly are the big man for giving us the $5 big bucks, and you can give us $5 big bucks if you go to patreon.com/animesickos, and it really helps us not go fucking insane. And make the show, I guess. That's fucking secondary.
To a lesser extent.
Speaking of making the show, we're going to rank game mechanics on a tier list. You may recall we did this. We're going to, before we get going, we'll sort of summarize what we have now. But, you know, it's an ongoing thing we've had. Segment that's not been that successful. It's fun for us, not so much for the listeners. So we're going to wrap it up today. This one should be the last one. If I'm looking at the list correctly, we only have 330 to rank still. So we're going to have to go a little bit faster, but whatever. You won't
going to pick up the
notice.
pace.
Yeah.
This is the last one, though.
Yes, for sure. Let's go through what our current rankings are. Joe, do you want to read what we got in S tier?
I'd be happy to. S tier, cream of the crop, baby. We got double jump, level ups where they say every single stat change, and the wagon from Dragon Quest. For A rank, which is like, what if S rank sucked?
Yeah.
Levels, just leveling up.
Yeah.
Full heal on level up, regenerating shield but non-regenerating health, and getting a rating at the end of a level.
For B tier, which is like, what if A tier was fucking incompetent? We have jump, single version. We have a sliding dash. We have where you press jump when you land on an enemy and you get a whole new jump instead of just doing a little bounce. We have job experience. This is different from normal experience. Dracula shooting 3 fireballs. A roll with iframes. And a homing attack.
And then we got C tier, which is like if D tier locked in. We got air dash. We got MP, as in magic points, the things you use to cast spells. XP, the whole point of games to make the level up bar go up.
Mm-hmm.
This one's cut off. I know what it is. It's when there's a cutscene and someone is drinking from a glass and they drink and their eyes look fucked up and then their mouth looks fucked up and their wrist looks fucked up. Yeah, like this is every Yakuza game when you talk to someone as they drink. It's important.
Yeah,
but it's a C tier. And the last one is the mechanic near and dear to our hearts, but still just C tier. Is when you are pursued by a freak.
And we got D tier. D tier is if it stopped being locked in and just started fucking up again. As it always does. God, D tier, get it fucking together. We got missables. like from RPGs where you're just like, I wonder how come I don't have that sword that I see in game footage, and it's like you need to have gotten that before you go to the Mystic Grotto, and it's like I went to the Mystic Grotto.
Biggest crime of this is Final Fantasy IX with the Excalibur 2, which is just like, if you didn't get to this treasure chest on like disc 3 in 20 minutes or something, it's not there.
Yeah, you have to speed run and skip the game. It's just like, I don't want to do that. It's like too fucking bad. And then
I had the strategy guide and I still was like, everyone will betray me.
Yeah, it's bullshit. That's why it's in D tier, dude. And also in D tier, you have the homing attack specifically from 3D Sonic games. What's in E tier, Joe?
We got triple jump. It's too many jumps.
It's too many. It's decadent.
Junctioning GFs, Guardian Forces from Final Fantasy VIII, a mechanic everyone loves to talk about.
Yeah.
Everyone's always yammering about this. Bring it back, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then roll.
This is specifically roll without iframes, because roll with iframes, you recall, was earlier in B tier, so this...
and obviously fucking better.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm rolling... I mean, and I feel this in real life. Like, this just feels true. Like, if I saw, like, a huge, like, blade shooting at me, like horizontally, like out of a wall, like in like a big slot, and it's just like coming for my waist. It just feels like if I rolled, even if the blade hit my body, it would just go through.
And you're not saying you shouldn't get hit at any point in the roll. You're just saying at the start of the roll, it would go through.
Yeah, like when I'm in the air still. Like when I hit the ground and I'm like, you know, on my shoulder and I'm doing the actual rolling part, like, obviously that would kill me. But, you know, you get it. And then we have F tier, which is we only put something in F tier if it truly...
disgusts us.
Yeah, if we truly believe that it could never make a game better in any circumstance. And the only thing we have there so far is level ups where they don't tell you anything. It just says level up, and you just have to sit there and wonder what the fuck that means. They do it in Final Fantasy XII, which I like a lot in a lot of ways, but when you level up, it just says level up, and I want to, like, kill
I need to know what that means.
Yeah.
It needs to have meaning. And also, you're not like, well, maybe you are, but when you're playing 12, it's not like you have a running mental stat sheet that you can just like, oh, it's different now.
I certainly don't.
From the level up.
Joe. Yeah. I'm glad. I'm sort of touched that you think that I might have the fucking calculatorable capacity in my stupid brain to run a running stat sheet of the Final Fantasy 12 characters, but I assure you I do not. So we need to fucking pick a new mechanic to rank. Joe, we got our menu open. Pick a delicious treat for us.
I got a bread and butter one.
Gimme.
One that's not like inherently goofy. We're just talking mechanics. Base assault mission, as in you fight a million guys that are coming at you.
Base assault mission. This is...
XCOM's got one of these.
You see this a lot in the open world games these days. That's like one of the modular events that you can put anywhere that doesn't have any plot relevance. But you can like jimmy up the layout of the base based on like where on the map you slap it down.
You don't even have to like make it good, because you can just drop a circle and be like, oh, the guys are going to come here. Like, you can be real lazy about it.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, standing in mostly one place while a bunch of people come at you and you shoot them is, I mean, that's gaming, folks.
Okay. So I need to stop you there, because that's true, but I fear that we're going to diverge in what we're talking about. When I'm thinking about base assault mission, the first thing I'm going to is the fucking Spider-Man game where there were space assault, and like you would go to a place and like press like start mission, and then you would just like have to fight guys for 3 minutes and then be done. What you were describing, standing in a room as people come at you and you shoot them all, that's Smash TV. That's a whole different thing.
Okay, so where does the Gears of War Horde mode fall? Because that's just like a Gears of War map that's very small. Guys come at you until you die. It's literally like you do a last stand forever. Is that a base assault mission, or is that a different thing? Because I like that.
Is that a like a mission? I haven't played that, so I have to ask you for these this piece of information. Is that like a game of Missile Command where like you're guaranteed to lose and the game is just how long can you last?
Yes, it's literally that. And it's co-op.
Okay. I think is that different? Is that a different?
So the
mechanic?
distinction here is last stand games versus defend the base, because like when you defend the base, you are doing so with the intent that you will not die. But if it's like, we're gonna just see how far we get, we will die.
Yeah, that'd be a last stand mode. I will put that on the end. And I know we need to get to the end, and by adding a new thing when we're doing our first mechanic of the day, that we have essentially had a net zero progress.
Yeah,
but
these kind of canceled out.
Yeah, this happens. This is just how this is. Trust the process. Yeah. So, okay, so last stand mode, that's a different thing, and I think that's pretty good. No, I'm not talking about like tower defense games. I'm talking, and the way that you can tell is this is base assault mission. Like this is a distinct like opt-in chunk of game where like in this part and in this part only, you're in a little area and you got to fight all the guys, and they're going to keep coming in waves until it says you did it.
I know exactly what you're saying. I associate it with like video game churn. I mean this in the most neutral sense. Like it's like you drop it in a Destiny map or something like that. It is a like flavorless workhorse in that context, I believe.
Yes, it is. Like I said, it is a modular, standard issue, open world game chore. Like you can like, okay, there are 15 areas in my open world. I'll put down 15 fucking base assault missions, whatever. Don't need to think about them. Just to design a little map for each one, where each map's a little different, and fucking guys come out. So here's what I'm thinking, Joe. I'm leaning C, and I'll tell you why. Because I agree with you that this is a flavorless mush that I call root marm. But it does, unlike a lot of open world game chores, this actually does serve a purpose and can be fun, which is if the game, and this is a big if the game has an interesting combat system that's actually fun to do, the base assault mission gives you just like a lot of time to like live in it. Because a lot of the times in these games that have big combat systems, and it's like, oh, there's so much options, but like the actual like main missions, they're designed for like little kids and people with full-time jobs to beat them. So like it doesn't actually require you to do anything that interesting with the combat. And it's like, when do I ever get to like really dig into my options? And it's like, well, here's an optional part where we'll just let you fucking like, it's basically training mode. You can just go nutty for 5 minutes for free whenever you want. What do you think of that? And like, I think that is useful. It is definitely an inelegant way of implementing that. But
I don't disagree. I think C is correct. I'm willing to put C there. I will say in its favor, we're using sort of like the Destiny open world MMO-esque shooter sort of event example. Just saying, if that is the type of game where that is happening, these like last stand missions, these base assault missions, that means there's absolutely shittier ones where you have to find a bunch of things.
Yeah.
And this is better because you're in one place. They come to you.
Yes. There's so many of these stupid chores, and guaranteed some of them are going to be stupid gimmicks that are not fun. And when compared to those, just like, hey, you just fight fucking like enemies. Yeah? Well, there you go. And also it lets you have like the full menu of combat options because it's just like you're standing in place and there are waves of enemies. Like if every wave there's going to be more enemy types until you have seen every enemy type in the game in one encounter, and it's like, cool. A variety.
I'm fine with C in that, like, I don't think it'll ever detract, but I do think it's sort of inelegant usually.
It would be better if this thing was accomplished naturally. And this seems like a Band-Aid solution, but it is a solution. So, C. It's okay. It's not bad. It's D if it locked in, like you said. Alrighty. Let's see. What next do we want to do? Joe, I have one for you. I think this might be interesting to you. It's runs. Like a game that has runs. Like the concept of runs.
So, this is the shit. A run is a unit of life. It is a basic building block of life. Before I was laid off, I was hysterically, extensively trained to be a Scrum Master, which I was very excited about for many reasons. The main thing, though, that like made me like, oh, I'm looking forward to this, is that every sprint is a run. It's just a run. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to have a roguelike job. And they were like, just kidding, bitch. So I am going to put runs at either S or A. And as a father, it's wonderful. Even though I played games that were heavily run-based before, it's super good to have like that sort of like bracketed gaming experience. Like there's a start and stop here. I have an easy out.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you can stop playing a game and do whatever, but the point is the run gives you like the full game experience, which is like you start with nothing and then you get to do the stuff where you mindlessly have a build and then you beat a boss. It's like the whole, it's Bollywood. It does everything.
Yeah. Yes. It also has the sort of appeal of gambling, but without being satanic. Because it's one thing to just start playing a game you like, but when the game has runs, you always think this might be a good run. And that feeling you get when you're midway through it and you're just like, this is a good run. Like that's really something.
This is not 100% the case, but games with runs very often have a wonderful stat summary screen at the end that is just fun to look at.
Oh, yeah.
The purpose of which is just like, if you have a friend that's also like doing Slay the Spire shit, you can just send them that screen. You don't have to like tell them like what you even did.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like, oh, they're like, oh, this is insane Shiv City, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is crucial. I actually think printers are bad. Computer printers have never worked. However, every time you beat a computer game, no, not even beat, every time you complete a run in a game that has runs, a very old printer should fucking print out the summary sheet, and you can't stop it. It has to do it. It's very loud and annoying.
Gotta be one of those ones that has holes on the side and that like
absolutely
that has like foldy accordion back and forthies built into the paper. What do you call that? I don't know. But I agree completely, Joe. I just want to. This is splitting hairs, but I want to see how you define it so that just we know what we're talking about. When we talk about runs, do you count like retro, like arcade style games where like you're supposed to play it a million? It's not like a narrative game from now where you play the game and you beat it and you're like, and then the game is now over forever. But like Defender, does that have? Do you play a run of Defender or like Mario Brothers? Like Mario, if you play it right, it takes like 20 minutes to beat. Like Slay the Spire might. When you like boot up Mario Brothers, is that a run of Mario? I just want to know where you're at with this.
No, I will say no because games that have runs are designed with the idea that you are playing a game that's going to be repeated just a bajillion times. Like the repetition is the point. Some of those old classic games, the purpose of which is to extract coins from people at the cabinet. Games with runs are going to have some element of randomness, something that's going to cause churn. And the Michael Jackson arcade game, does it have a run? I would say no because it's the same every time.
I think you've hit upon the key distinction, which is the randomness and also that it's the selling point. Is that like, hey, this is like we have a great product for you. It's a game that you play a million times. I don't mean that the game is so good that once you beat it, you'll be like, I want to play it again. Like, no. Like when you sit down to play it, you will play it at least like 3 times per sitting. And like, that's runs. Okay.
You know what it is? Also, in Run's favor, it's not this, but it's a cousin of the feeling of, okay, I played a board game today. I did like a thing.
Yes. You get, because it's just a run. It's just, yes. I agree completely. Joe, I'm with you on it being extremely good. I only hesitate to put it in S because S is shit that would make every game better. Double jump, level up, so they say every stat change, and the wagon.
Just like logically, that doesn't work because not every game can take runs. I get
exactly.
That.
So I'm thinking A. Yeah, that's a big A. Hell yeah, I love that. I love that we have covered runs. Joe, give me another one. Pick the next one.
You know what? We love our tactics games. Our Final Fantasy tactics games that have jobs.
We do. Okay.
So let's go with something downstream from that. When a game has the joke class.
A joke class, Joe, is so fucking good. If you aren't aware, if you haven't played any RPGs, you got the class or job systems where you can assign someone a class or a job, and then that has special abilities that only that class or job can do. And they're generally stuff like warrior or mage or, I don't know, like summoner, animal tamer. But there's some that just suck ass, and they're in the game to be funny. And well, Joe, I think we love being funny. I think we really respect it. Are we on the same page here?
Yes. So like, what's it called? Gadabout in Dragon Quest.
Yes.
It's a guy whose skills are about slacking off. Like, that's just what it is.
It's so funny that they don't even like trick you with it. Like, someone in the temple that you assign jobs at is like, make sure you don't give anyone a gadabout job. The gadabouts don't give a shit about RPGs, dude. They'll like fall asleep in the middle of a fight because they just don't care. And if you give someone the gadabout class, yeah, they fall asleep and you say attacked, and they go, I fell asleep.
So the only problem I have with joke classes is that they sometimes are required for unlocking awesome shit later.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, whenever I play a game that has a job system, I will look up if there's advanced jobs that have to be unlocked, and not just like for spoilery stuff, but it's just like, I'm going to just pick the stuff at the start that's going to lead me to, the shit I want. It's just saving me time and effort.
Mm-hmm.
I hate when I'm choosing something at the start that I know sucks. There's just dead weight in the party that I'm just waiting for them to get better so they can eventually become something useful. It just feels like you have, instead of a full party, you're like, and I have this like strange dog that doesn't do anything. Also, the gadabout is gendered. I forgot.
Yeah, I was looking up, like, does the gadabout, because I was like, does the gadabout have that thing where, like, because I don't remember, where if you, like, level gadabout up all the way, it does that, like, Magikarp to Gyarados thing, where, like, actually this is the strongest? And I don't think so. I think it just really is a terrible class on purpose. But, there are male and female versions of the gadabout. The male gadabout is a big tubby clown wearing a nightgown who has clown makeup and a big cartoon mouth and a hat that was like a dunce cap from school. And then if you're a girl gadabout, you're a porno lady from Playboy.
Yeah, same word though, gadabout.
Yes,
that's
gadabout.
That means the same.
Joke class, Joe. I think the thing that makes the joke class so good and that makes the joke so funny is that it really is just that bad. And it's just like, what a waste of time to program this piece of shit and put it in my game.
As long as it's not required for something cool later, I'm fine deferring to you.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking C. C is right on the line of like always good. Joke class, I think, needs to be in a game where the normal classes are really good and fun. There needs to be a level of high quality just across the board. And then there's the one bad one. And it's just the fact that it's there when you know the level of quality that the team making this game can get to. That's what makes it funny. And I think that's sort of a rare it requires a rare level of skill otherwise. So as good as it can be, like I wouldn't want a crappy RPG to have a joke class, because like I'm sure that half the classes are like broken with how crappy they are, but they didn't even intend that. So the joke class just feels like more of an insult. That's what I'm thinking. C.
That's actually a good point. I feel like things that aren't joke classes end up being joke classes because they just suck, but it's not like, oh, this is funny.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is outclassed in every way by this other stuff.
Yeah. It's like this class is a joke, but like you mean that in like an insulting way. Whereas the gadabout, like this class is a joke.
He's literally putting on in clown pants, like clown pants.
There's a guy who's the tutorializing guy who says, don't give anyone the gadabout class. Like, it just sucks. They're useless. And yeah, see. All right, let's do another fucking one. Oh, this is a classic of the genre. This is like, you think of video games, you think of this. You get fucking hired to write sketches for dorkly.com. This is your pitch on day one, is a riff on this. I'm talking about enemies who it hurts to touch. They're not attacking you. There's no weapon, but it just hurts to touch.
It's a wonderful reduction of purpose. They don't need to be shooting fireballs. They don't need to be throwing things. They just need to walk at you.
Yeah.
Super Ghosts and Goblins is just this, and also when you get hit, you have an awful stun jump where you go backwards 100 feet. It sucks shit.
Yeah, that's on the list elsewhere, but we'll get to that another time. No, we won't. We'll get to it today because we're doing the whole thing. This was the enemies with hurts to touch was huge in the NES and SNES era. I mean, talk about hurts to touch Goombas. That's like the original hurts to touch.
It's also just like understood, like no matter what game you're playing, you've sort of just completely internalized something that maybe reads as an enemy. If it touches my guy, it shouldn't. Like I shouldn't let that happen. Just that is your opening strategy. Maybe you'll get more information and change, but do not let anything touch you is video games 101 for a reason.
I'm thinking about like, okay, what games in that era didn't have that? And I'm thinking like the only thing I can think of are like beat 'em ups. Like your Double Dragons and your Streets of Rages, where like the enemy only hurts you if they're like doing something.
You can also walk through them physically, like you clip.
Yes, exactly. I think I can't think of any right now, and maybe I'm talking out of my ass, but I'm pretty sure that there are some NES bosses in games where normally enemies hurts you to touch, where you can like touch them because they're like doing big like animations. I'm thinking like Ninja Gaiden, where like they do like big slashes and stuff, and like that's the part that hits. But like you can like walk up under them and go cheer.
For me, it doesn't. It's got to be if you touch a pixel of the other guy, you take damage.
What do you think of it? Does it make you feel good? I mean, I see the appeal in that it is such an elegant abstraction that takes a lot of the sort of guesswork out, but also it's stupid as shit.
Personally speaking, it's never happened to me because I'm good at video games. So I'm actually really open to suggestions here because it's not going to happen to me in the future either because I'm not going to get bad at video games.
Yeah. Well, here's something else to consider. I've been thinking of this exclusively in the retro gaming context, but we're not ranking retro gaming mechanics. This is all games. And like, I'm thinking about modern games. I don't think you can get away with an enemy who it hurts to touch unless like they are obviously like some sort of goo monster who like is made of the goo that gives you poison damage that you like had to walk through earlier in the level to introduce you what the goo meant. Like if I was playing fucking like some AAA adventure game and I came across a marauder and or bandit and they just like walked into me and my guy died like from that, like that would be like, what the fuck? Like, no.
Okay, but that is bump combat.
That's different. And it's also on this.
I know it's on there. But like it is you know what? No, it's different because the enemy gets hurt by you too.
Yeah. Yes, it's a totally different thing. This is like, enemies are it hurts to and that's the other thing. Okay, this is something that I'm glad you said, because this needs to be said, and I was going to forget it. And I had this thought a lot when I was a kid, especially I had this NES game, because all my games were games that my brothers got, and I didn't. It took me a long time to realize that like you could get more games. Like I thought this was all the games that were, and I had one game that was called Rush Attack for the NES, where you are a guy who is trying to run to the right, and you're in like military bases, and you want to like destroy them. And like any operative who's dropped into an active enemy military base, you have one knife. That is your only weapon. And you were constantly having guys come at you who are going to rush and attack, or you think they would, but they don't attack because they hurt you by touching. So they just rush. The game is just called Rush. But I got so fucking pissed playing that game when I was a kid, because I didn't know. I know now the game fucking sucks ass. It's like objectively bad. But as a kid, I just assumed all games were good because I liked games, and these were the games that were. And I got so fucking mad. Like, why is it that these other guys kill me instantly by touching me, but I don't hurt them back? Why am I the big bitch of life? It's not like in Mario, it makes sense because like you can jump on them, and so it's like we both have an advantage in different ways. In like Rush Attack, it's and like what? I'm sorry, what? Like no. You're just better than me at being hurting?
So I feel like the best version of this, and it's more modern than, I mean, it's classic, but it's not like 8-bit, of a game that has damage upon you being walked into, but also it's not annoying. It's Metal Slug, because you will knife immediately. Like yes, you will get hurt by a guy walking at you. However, if you are pressing fire, and you are, because there's no reason to ever stop pushing the button, and a guy gets close to you, you just automatically knife him when he's in knife range. That seems like a fair balance of power between the hurting walking and the gamer.
That's true. I agree completely, but you have to understand that what you're doing here is you are arguing for the goodness of auto knife attack.
Yeah, it kicks ass. Did you not just hear what I said?
And no, I agree completely, but auto knife attack does not change the inherent quality of enemies who it hurts to touch.
So I would put auto knife attack at like A.
You know what? Let me add auto knife melee to the list and then give it an A. Because I completely agree. And also, we need to get through all 330 of these. Auto knife attack is a band-aid, not a band-aid, but it's an addition that makes enemies who it hurts to touch better. I think enemies who it hurts to touch is it D? I'm going to give you the reasoning. I think because it's really been outclassed. Like it had a moment where technology was such that you had to do that, but like we're past that now. And now, like, there are so many games where the enemies don't hurt to touch. They hurt when they attack you. That, like, going back to it, like, if you made a game now where the enemies hurt to touch and it wasn't explicitly retro-themed, people would get fucking pissed. And I think that would be reasonable. And that's why I'm thinking D. D is not, like, E and F are, like, just truly rancid shit. I do not think it's truly rancid, but I just think that you get me?
I agree. I have more evidence that it should stay in D, and I want to just bring your attention to like an awful gaming feeling, which is when you're playing Mario and you die, and it's like, no, I fucking jumped on him. Like,
yeah. Yes.
I am on him, not touching the side.
It's so true.
So D.
Yeah. All right, Joe, I want to do this one next. This is a big one. This is a classic. I'm talking about consumables. Your potions, your ethers, your sword oils.
I mean, they're good. My problem is I'd never use items. Like in a Chrono Trigger Final Fantasy thing, like you look at my inventory and there's stuff I could have used that I did not. That's not really an issue with the consumables. That's my own flaw as a creature of sin.
No, Joe. I am gonna. You're so down on yourself. I'm gonna absolutely disagree with you there. It is the game's fault, and I'll tell you why. If I get a fucking like Arctic Wind item, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it's like Arctic Wind casts a ice spell, and I'm like, well, I can already do that.
So this is never getting used. Also, I do not have the brain power to think to sell it, so I will just stay in a state of inaction with a bunch of shit that fills up my inventory. Yes.
And also the other thing, especially, I mean, for like health items where it's like it says how much it heals you, it's like, okay, I know exactly what this is. A lot of the weirder items, I don't really fully know what they do. Like some of the weird bombs and oils in Elden Ring, or like those like items in RPGs where it's like it casts a spell for you, and I'm just like, well, what does that mean? Casts a spell? Does it use the same damage calculation as if the person?
No, it means it does 50 damage to everything.
Exactly. That's so fucking often the case. And if, for example, that wasn't the case, if the item really did do like the best version of what I thought it did, well, I just used it in a test scenario and it's gone. Like, okay.
That's what save scumming is for, but you wouldn't do that.
No, I would not. Also, in an RPG, that's too much fucking work. I'm already in menus constantly anyway. To go to the fucking like emulator menu in addition to the no. Oh, also, sometimes consumables are too good. I'm thinking about the hero drink from Final Fantasy like 8, where it's just like you win the game when you drink the hero drink, and like.
Was it like, you mean it buffs you in combat, or what does it do?
It makes you take no damage, and I think it makes you have full limit break always, and it lasts like a minute. So like
that's pretty good.
The game's over, I guess, and they're not that
Super
hard to
Mario
get either.
RPG had good consumables that you'd like save for stuff. I remember there is like a secret boss that's like Culex. It's like a Final Fantasy boss that Mario has to fight for some reason. And it's like way harder than everything else.
And it's not a cartoon. It's like a mono art like monster.
And that was like the reason you keep all the shit that like makes you invincible for 3 turns or do all this stuff for that fight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm indifferent about it. I would say C. Like it's like air to me.
Yeah. Here's Joe. You're not a Souls-like head like me. I need to specifically call out, and this is something that might push it down to D. Maybe I could live with C. In the Souls-like games, they give you a lot of consumables. Like you give you things that you can eat a piece of meat that makes you do more damage for a while. You can eat a prawn that makes you take less damage for a while. You could put oil on your sword. You could throw a little bomb thingy at the enemies. And that's fine. I understand why they would do that, makes sense. Here's the thing. When you're first playing against a FromSoft boss or in a new level, something's going to happen to you which can only be described as getting rinsed. You're going to get rinsed immediately. There's no chance you're going to win on the first try.
You're collecting data, and the way to get data is that you have to get punched in the face 100 times.
Yeah, get rinsed. And that's fine. Getting rinsed, there's nothing wrong with that. Eventually, you're going to get what the boss or level is all about. You're going to get further and further, and then eventually you're going to win. Okay? And the consumables are supposed to be your little leg up. This boss is weak to fire. I will simply use fire paper on my weapon to make it a fire weapon for a minute. Now that will truly ruin the boss's day. Here's the thing. These consumables, in like the best case scenario, and if they do their job perfectly, what does that mean? It means like the boss's health meter is like 20% smaller functionally because you're like doing that much more damage. So basically it just means that on a run where you would have gotten the boss to 20% health, you win. Here's the thing. I don't know when that's going to fucking happen. And if I'm like struggling and I'm like, I can't, if I'm thinking I can't beat this boss, I need some help. Well, guess what? That means I'm not good enough to regularly get it to 20% health. And thus I'm using my legs up. The legs up run out. It's like you can buy more. With what souls? I keep dying. I'm poor and at the wall. I have no money.
This is the same logic for why I I both understand the value, but generally dislike any upgrade in a roguelike where it's like, upon death, just you get another life. And it's like, that's objectively amazing. However, I'm probably fucking it up.
Yes. If I died, like, I wasn't good enough.
So you're just saying that the boss gets to kill me twice? Cool.
Yeah. Like the lizard tail from Slay the Spire, like the only time that you die and you come back with 50% health, the only time that's useful is if you triggers on the final boss. Because otherwise, it's like, well, I died when I had 100% health. So like, I'm going to, like, this is not going to help. And again, to go back to the Souls-like thing, if I am able to get the boss to 20% health, I don't go, oh boy, time to use my consumables. I go, I got this. And then like 2 or 3 runs later, I do it. Because like, I got this. Oh, if I'm getting it to this low, I'm only making a couple mistakes. I got this. I'll get better. And I do. Fuck them. That's why I think D for consumables.
I agree.
D tier for consumables. Next one, Joe, I'm talking about Neo consumables from the game series Neo. Neo consumables make consumables look like fucking shit, and I will tell you why. Neo is like a Souls-like Ninja Gaiden. It's got Ninja Gaiden combat, but it's a Souls-like in that there are bonfires, and you level up at bonfires with your experience points, and if you die, you drop your experience points, you gotta go get them.
It's got like Diablo-esque gear too, right?
Yes, it's that's on the list too, and it is the worst. I'm going to tell you right now that's F, but we're going to get to that when we get to that. It makes the game almost unplayable, which is sad because Neo consumables are, I think, one of the smartest things. I'm seriously thinking S. I can be talked down to A and no lower. Here's how it works. There are stats in Neo that you can level up that are like magic and like ninjutsu. And what do? Do they do like damage? Like, because if you level up your strength, you do more damage, you level up your health, your HP goes up. What do those stats do? Well, Joe, there's a lot of consumables in Neo, a great deal of them that do a number of interesting and useful things, much like in any Souls-like game. And much like in any Souls-like game, I'm like, I got 2 fucking talismans that enchant my weapon with fire. Okay, so I'm going to use these against the boss that's weak to fire, get rinsed both times, and then I'm back to nowhere, but with the added benefit of I'm sad that I lost my thing. Okay, fuck this. However, when you are at a bonfire, you are able to conjure from fucking nothing some consumables. How come? What's the fuel? Am I crafting them out of crafting items I picked up? No.
It's your imagination.
You're crafting them out of your magic and ninjutsu stat. If you have a high magic stat, if you have like 10 in magic, there's like a talisman that costs 4 to make. And so I can make 2 of those, and then another thing from another magical item that costs 2. And I just have them. If I use them against the boss and I die, I'm back at the bonfire, and I still have 10 magic. And if I'm like, these magic items are great, you know what I'll fucking do? I'm going to level up magic. And you can, and I've seen it online, footage of this, you can make a fully viable build that is almost all consumables. If you level up your shit high enough, you can just be like, you never use your fucking weapon. You just like throw shit out. You're like dropping traps on the ground. You're doing bap, 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 bap. And you can afford to fuck around with that and experiment because this shit is free. It's consumable for this instance. And then when you die and have to try again, they come back. It's so fucking smart. And it really, oh my God, it fits the Souls-like structure so much better than the stupid standard, like, you find it on the ground and this is the only one you have.
So hearing you talk about that, the thing that jumped out to me is that how it specifically enables player experimentation without you worrying about like, oh man, I want to figure out how this fire potion works, but I hope I don't waste it. That's objectively better because regular consumables just hang out and they suck, whatever. Mm-hmm. In general, I was going to suggest something like the Souls genre has sort of put us at peak bonfire.
Yeah.
And when I was about to say that, I meant specifically just the refilling of the healing items at the bonfire, which is not to say it's bad. It's just like it's everything because it actually makes a lot of sense. It works, whatever. This, and I've not played Neo. It was the first time I thought the bonfire was cool again.
Yes, it's so good, and also like when you put it like the way you did, it makes like it's insane that no other designer thought of this, and that FromSoft hasn't thought of this, because it's the same fucking thing. It's the same like basic idea, which is like you have a limited amount of things that help you, and you have to make the most of them. And if you run out, you can't get more. But when you get to the checkpoint, take a breather, because they all come back, and now you get ascend. So that's why it's such a safe place. Just do that, but for in addition to healing for all your shit. It's so smart. Like, it's so fucking smart. I can't believe it. And the reason there's magic in ninjutsu is because like there are magic items, and then there's like items that are just like from real life, like, you know, knives and spike traps and smoke bombs, that kind of shit. And they want you to not be able to use all of them unless you really invest in both stats, which I think, it's smart. But like the core, even if they didn't have two stats and it was just like, there was just a stat that was called like building, like crafting.
Doodads.
Yeah, if there's just a doodad stat, and the doodad stat let you make doodads for free at the bonfire, the fact that you don't need to like collect like fiber and wood.
You don't have to go to a workbench.
Yeah, like I can't make a kunai because I don't have fiber. I gotta go grind fiber. Like, it's like almost like it's the feeling when you see something and you're just like, I don't think humans made this. Like, this is divine. Like, this came from God. Like, that's how I feel about Neo consumables.
A giant on the stone came up with this.
Yes, the stones. They went out to the stone in the sea. The team that was building Neo was like, you guys have been working so hard. We're going to do a team building exercise where you do your favorite thing. As you're Japanese, it's whaling. So get on the boat, guys. And then they were passing by the stone in the sea, and the giant was there. He's not always there. And they're like, hey, giant, what's up? And he opened his one big eye and looked right at them, and he spoke without talking. His mouth didn't move, but they all heard him. And he explained this shit. He's like, what if there was a doodad stat?
Regular consumables are washed.
And they're like, the doodad stat would be too powerful. He's like, mix it up into magic and ninjutsu. And they're like, you got it. Oh, man. I'm putting it in A. Or S. S or A. What do you think?
I'm open to S. I just haven't played the game, but based on what you're saying, and it's like, it feels kind of like, oh, no shit, that's smart. The same way, yeah, your backpack is unlimited space. Like, it's just like, no fucking duh. Like, why isn't it always like that?
I don't know, Joe. And like, the feeling, like, if you don't invest in it, which I didn't really, I was using a big ass sword, and I was investing in use of big ass sword. But I had enough points so that I could make like 2 talismans that would enchant my sword with elemental damage per rest at the bonfire. And the fact that like when a boss had an elemental weakness, I knew like I will always be able to take advantage of that. I mean, you still have to like do the little animation of putting it on, so like it's you need to figure out a safe time, but like, or with original consumables, it feels like that entire part of the game is just shut off, because it's like I will waste them and then that's it. So I might as well not use them ever. Just the fact that I'm putting an S. It's an S. 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 I was able to play through an entire game with that shitty fucking loot system because of how good the consumables were. I could not even believe it's so good. Anyway, that's that. What do you think is next? We got enough for a couple hundred more? At least 2 more.
Yeah. How do we feel about this? Pressing the thumbstick down ever. Boo.
Joe, I was up on the highs of S tier, and then you told me about the least satisfying physical action you can do. When you have like a piece of skin on your cuticle and you pull it and it just goes all the way down your finger and has like a big strip of ouchiness that's going to be
and then the
there
maggots
for
start
weeks.
coming out.
Yeah, that is like only slightly worse than when you have to click down the thumbstick on the controller. It is a nasty, evil button to push, and especially when so many controllers have stick drift, it really just feels like you're breaking it on purpose.
I feel like the Xbox 360 was the height of developers being like, you love to sprint with pushing down the thumbstick.
Yes.
Especially for first-person shooters.
Also, and your sprint is only a couple seconds, and you go huff, huff. So you constantly have to be clicking it again and again and again and again and again if you want to keep sprinting, which of course you do.
It's just like an unpleasant action. I'm not saying it like hurts or anything, but it's not something I want to be like, I just want to push a button. Just let me push a normal button.
It's like, Joe, you know, like a big cartoon lever. Remember the Walker Texas Ranger lever from Conan? A big cartoon lever. It's a long thingy. It's a long pole with a handle, and you pull it and it goes ka-chunk. That is a totally reasonable item. Everyone loves it. That's why they put it in cartoons. Now imagine if, like, you had to push the entire lever, like, in to do a second thing. It would feel perverse. It honestly looks, I'm thinking about it now and visualizing it, obscene. I hate it. That's what this is. It's like you took a perfectly good item and then like you've made it like nauseatingly weird by
it feels mushy. It feels like you don't have an actual sense that like you're pressing it. Like I've played games a lot. When I go to press A, I know what's going to happen. There's just something like sort of tactically mushy and non-precise about pushing down a thumbstick, which means it would have to, if you're going to use it, it should be something that's like not all the time, like a map, I guess. But I don't want to be in a situation where like I have to reactively press a thumbstick down while moving, you know, the thumbstick at the same time.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare. It's just, they've already come up with other buttons. What are we doing?
You know, other buttons is a great point because I think the fact that there is not wide mainstream acceptance and standardization of paddle buttons on the back of the controller, because some custom controllers have that. The Steam Deck has that. They have paddles on the back, so where your big hands are holding like the thingy, like the handle parts. Normally, they're not doing anything.
Like that's a sprint button better than a thumbstick
because it's a fucking button. It's meant to be pushed. You push it and you don't feel like this shouldn't be doing this. Like you click the thumbstick and you're like, that's just not what this is for. Buttons aren't this tall.
I think just if I could reduce my problems with it down, it's that 100% of video games are just you moving the thumbstick anyway. So why are you adding an additional sloppy action into the mix? It just doesn't feel good. And the click is not satisfying. They need to make it way better. Or like maybe a clown horn or something. I don't know. It just needs to have something.
You do the bike horn. I would love that. I'm leaning F in the sense that, again, I don't think that any game is ever made better by clicking the thumbstick down. If any game where you're like, I like this part, the clicking the thumbstick down wasn't that bad. Imagine it was a paddle on the back. Wouldn't it be better?
I have an exception. I just thought of one. It's not constant use. It's just a one-off thing. I believe it is the PS3 God of War when you go to gouge out somebody's eyes and you do both thumbsticks to do it.
That's really good. Okay,
it is, but like doesn't like you. But you're not doing that in the course of a regular game. It's like a cinematic sort of thing, and you're being prompted. And also, it's to make you feel gross about like the act of doing it. We're not talking about dashing around with your thumbstick.
I'm not. I see what you're saying, but your sort of like caveats to sort of downplay it are not working on me because I'm not trying to get convinced that this is actually B or A. I know this is terrible. It's just, but if there is an example of it being good, it can't go in F tier. And that what you just described is good because you are doing in the game a grotesque, awful action that feels very wrong. And unfortunately, that uses the act of pushing the thumbstick it uses it really well because that is it. It's
and
evocative.
Also, it's worth mentioning that kind of only really works with a PlayStation controller because the thumbsticks are next to each other. You know what I mean? Like if
Yeah.
you want to
Oh,
get you're gouging out a guy's eyes, his head would be weird if it was a 360.
Or you're holding his head sideways.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I'm fine with E. I think one instance of it not being total dog shit sounds about right.
Yes. And as we've discussed, that is all it takes to get you out of F. I think the only thing in F is still level ups where they don't tell you anything. And again, that is never, ever, there's no, you can never give me a situation where that would be good, when you could just tell me every stat change. I'm so mad about that. Joe, I think we have time for one more. Why don't you tell us, what do you want to end on? I really thought we would get through all 300. I guess we'll have to do at least one more.
We were close, though.
Yeah, and we did add a couple, so, we did sort of make no progress whatsoever.
Breakable parts.
Ooh, breakable parts. We're talking about on enemies, not like the parts of your kit. Breakable
Correct.
Parts on. Okay.
So just out of the gate, the Monster Hunter hammer is just for this. It's wonderful.
It's the skull cracker.
Playing the hammer with Monster Hunter is so fun because it's not like, oh, we're gonna kill the monster. It's like, no, how fucked up can I make it before it dies? Like, how many pieces of it can I knock off? So in Monster Hunter, it kicks ass. It rules. Also, it's just so fucking cool when it just so happens to be the strike that knocks something off that was a very cool time for it to happen, or maybe like you saved a guy by interrupting their animation. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, that hit where the breakable part explodes and shatters, and here's, I think a key thing of defining breakable parts. You have to see it. It has to visually occur in the game. Like, you have to see the monster.
Have to get fucked up.
Yes. That hit, especially on Monster Hunter, where you hit the monster 500 fucking times before it goes down. The hit where the part breaks, that is, I think, video games need to focus on this more. And we talked about this with runs briefly. But when games take gambling but use them in moral, non-satanic ways, you get the high without the downside. That is so good. It is so fucking fun. Because every single hit, especially like the first couple hits, no way it's gonna break. Too strong.
Oh, and with the hammer too, so the hammer is like the dopamine reward weapon because you are simultaneously trying to knock everything off, but also you know that like you're gonna get like maybe 2 or 3 stuns in there.
Oh yes,
which is great. Just hitting that ball. And Monster Hunter has the thing where like when you break something, hitting it further sucks for the monster. So you get to sort of do like a meat spec on the menu, boys, when you like crack them open.
I don't want to make this all about Monster Hunter, although Monster Hunter does.
I think it's the best.
King of this. The king of, like, does not be. But I want to say, I just want to make it clear that it's not only Monster Hunter that does this. Some people didn't like this game. I thought it was good, but I understand where they were coming from. Doom Eternal, the sequel to Doom 2016, has breakable parts on almost every single monster. It doesn't do it in the same way that Monster Hunter does it, where you have to focus down a part and then it will break when it hits its threshold. What the breakable parts are in Doom Eternal, it's just a health bar, but instead of the health bar floating over the enemy's head, it just, as they get closer and closer to death, more meat falls off of them until, like, at the end of their life, they are like a shambling corpse with a little bit of tendons still. I mean, they're all corpses, but there's just like only a tiny little bit of meat keeping the skeleton going. And then you shoot them the last time and they explode, and it's fucking great. It's like when I saw the first teasers and trailers for Doom Eternal, because I thought Doom 2016 was great. I mean, I saw what they were doing with all this and that, and the jumping and the swooshing and the movement effects and the freeze grenade and the I didn't really care. I'm like, whatever, I'll get to that.
I felt there was too many gizmos.
Yeah, it's just like whatever gizmos. I didn't really care about that. I know, like, some people didn't like it. I think you didn't like how there was too many. I was like, whatever. I don't care about that. That's just guns. Whatever. I'll figure it out when I am playing it. But when they were like, also, all the enemies have huge fucking chunks of meat jump off of them when you shoot them, and that way you can tell how close they are to death. And it's like, you couldn't fucking tell how close they were to death in Doom 2016, and it was really frustrating. The parts fall, you feel so goddamn cool. You shoot them with a fucking shotgun, and huge meat sheets of them just fucking vaporize. It rules. I love breakable parts.
I'm serious. I think it's good.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Why not S? Is there ever a time when it wouldn't be relevant? Here's the thing. I'm unsure, and I think the fact that I'm unsure says it all. I would have to be sure that, like, breakable parts are always good. Also, breakable parts fall out.
Yes. I was going to say, oh God, what was that PlayStation game that was like the robot dinosaurs with the archer lady? Shit.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Okay, so I think this is a useful example to bring up, because that game is just breaking parts because like all the dinosaurs like fall apart and shit.
Yeah.
I think it actually becomes tedious at a certain point. It's not like Monster Hunter where it's like, oh, I'm wailing on the crab and then parts of it fall off and I get additional drops as a result. It's just like, oh man, this giant T-Rex sucks unless I take out this, and this order.
Yeah.
And what it becomes is, although that's like interesting from a gameplay perspective, it just becomes like very rote. It just seems like a very established process, which kind of takes away from like the hunting, trapping feel of the game.
Yes, Joe, that is so fucking smart. I'm so glad you said that because, and I hate, this is going to sound bad, but I hope you can hear me out. I'm thinking actually this goes in B because, and I don't mean that by saying it's not as good as A. However, what you've described makes it clear to me that breakable parts, although it kicks fucking ass,
it could be implemented in a non-perfect way.
Yeah, but and the correct way to implement it is as a light little sauce, like ding right on top. If you try to dig into it, that's when, because yes, it stops being like I'm fighting the boss, and sometimes if I'm really lucky, some fucking amazing shit will happen that's going to change the whole vibe. It's like, well, I'm fighting a monster, but I can't do any damage to it unless I first shoot their fuel tanks, which is going to make them weak to fire. And then once their fuel tanks are gone, I have to get the coupling because then that's behind. But
credit where credit's due, they made a game that the bad guys had fire barrels like in them. Like they were walking around with fire barrels like as part of their body.
We don't have fire barrels on this fucking list. Let me fix that. Red barrels.
Put green ones in there too. Those do gas.
Green barrels. Poison. What were we talking about? We're talking about breakable parts. Yeah, I'm thinking of B just because it is among the very best things you can put in a video game, but only if used sparingly. And I think that not quality, but the fact that like we don't want to get anyone having the wrong idea. Yeah. Like paprika is great, but if I were to get like a meal that was like over 50% paprika, I'd be like,
I absolutely thought you were talking about the movie. I was so okay. Yeah. I was, what, you were gonna eat half of a movie?
Yeah, dude, if someone gave me like a sandwich where one of the slices of bread was a friggin' DVD of Satoshi Kon's classic paprika, I would say, I don't like this. I'm thinking B for this reason. Am I crazy? Or are we stick with A?
No.
Because I can stick with A.
No, the A distinction is basically, for me, if I'm hearing you correctly, is that if the mechanic is included, it is almost a guaranteed value add or slam dunk. Like it's fine. Like it's going to be good no matter what. With B, and what we're saying now is that like implementation does matter. It has to be done well, or rather, it can't be. You can't like squeeze. You can't get blood out of a stone from it. Like you can't lean into it too hard.
Yeah, like we have in B Dracula shooting 3 fireballs, and obviously in Castlevania that's great. But imagine you were making a non-Castlevania Halloween themed game, and you made like the common enemy Dracula, and he was shooting 3 fireballs, like, and like there was 10 Draculas on screen, and they were shooting 3 fireballs every 2 seconds.
Yeah, if you did this, I would come find you. I would attack you. I'm insane now. RFK is going to take away all my meds. I'm going to become so scary.
Oh God, I hate that man. You know who I really wish would get
so it's going in A tier. I'm sorry, it's going in B tier for reasons said previously.
Yeah, it still is when implemented well, in the same way the jump is. When implemented well, it can be the greatest thing in the world. But yeah, I think to be an A or S, it has to be that it will always be good in any game as like a core thing. I feel good about this.
I want to end on just an observation because you brought up jump, and I think it's worth saying. It is like fucked up how bad the Mario Brothers arcade game feels, though, right? Like it controls like absolute shit.
Yeah.
In a way that feels like it's like a trick.
I wonder if it would be as awful if it was the first time. And also, I'm also lumping the Donkey Kong arcade game because Mario moves the exact fucking same in that, like an asshole. I wonder if it would be as awful if you hadn't first come to know Mario.
Absolutely.
Through real Mario.
It's like every time I've played the Mario Brothers arcade game, it's been on a cart of a real Mario game.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, cool. I get to experience regular Mario speed. And then it's like, would you love to play this 2-player game where he, for some reason, just like forgot to walk? He just sucks. His jumps are weird.
There was such a fucking time in the 2000s where Nintendo was so horny for being like, hey, and as an added bonus, you can play the Mario Brothers arcade game on this.
This game comes with a free turd.
Why is this never this? I mean, obviously Nintendo should be leaning into, archivists and like maintaining their art. Of course they're not. They don't care about retro stuff. They don't support emulation other than these are the handful of old NES shit that we can sell to them for the 100th time. Ha 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 ha. I think the one place where they should still be evil is like they need to make Mario Brothers arcade game like not accessible. Like they need to take that away from history. That's not good.
Also, we were playing this again, and he just controls like shit. I don't know what we were thinking.
The first time I played it, when it was a bonus on some fucking game, I don't remember which, but I was like, I'm going to experience some history right now. I wonder how fun this is. Joe, the fact that they're trying to sell this to you, they're trying to get you to play it. They're telling you that it's a good thing to play. You boot it up. There's a Koopa Troopa. You're like, I'm going to jump on that fucker. And then you do, and you die. Like, that is
deeply evil.
Like, whoa, social contract broken.
And I know the game came first, but what Tom said, they should have gone back in history and removed it.
Uh-huh. And it would still work in terms of, like, the whole point is that you're trying to kill Luigi and or vice versa. Which that's oh, I hate this. Oh, I forgot that was the point of the game, that you're trying to kill your brother. Man, I'm getting heated. I gotta stop. This is unhealthy.
Okay, so we have like 2 more left that we'll pick up in another episode, right? 2 are it looks like a 328.
Yeah. For this week, what have we done? Let's go over our rankings. Neo consumables, we put that in S. Runs, that's in A. Auto knife melee. We didn't really talk about that, but we just put it in A, just because, like, obviously. Breakable parts, that's in B. Base assault mission, that's in C. Joke class, C. Enemies with hurts to touch, D. Consumables, normal style, D. Pressing the thumbstick down ever is E. I stand by all of these, and if anyone says we put them in the wrong place, I would advise you to, instead of saying that, fucking kill yourself.
Okay, coming in a little hot. I maybe do soul searching instead of what Tom said.
Yeah. I got too heated thinking about Mario Brothers Arcade. That was wrong of me. Don't do it. Do your soul searching instead. Fix yourself. You know what? I'm going to split the difference. Fix your hearts or die. David Lynch. Rest in peace, my man. Anyway, that's all the time we have for Enemy Sickos. I got to eat lunch. I'm hungry. We recorded this in the morning. I've been Tom, an anime sicko. Why did I say all that?
Let everybody know. I'm Joe, an anime sicko.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, a sicko. You can follow me on Blue Sky at Tom Harrison. Joe was also a sicko. You can follow him on Blue Sky at Sharia Uncle. You can follow Anime Sickos on Blue Sky at Anime Sickos, or email us at animesickos@gmail.com. You can give us money at patreon.com/anime sickos if you want. Please leave us a review or something. I don't know. Tell a friend. Anyway, until next time, bye.